Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Youth Man. Over the past 2 months, I've been reviewing the JTR Captivator RS2 Subwoofers. Now, I've done 2 videos on them so far. The first one I did was an unboxing as well as an overview video, and that kind of went over all the specs and kind of my initial impressions. Then I also had a second video that really covered just kind of some demos. I did some audio demos from things like Edge of Tomorrow and Modern Warfare, a video game, and so gave you some impressions on those and even a 10 hertz frequency of it shaking my door. And so needless to say, I've got some content out there. If you haven't seen those videos, at the end, I'll post links to those in the end screen so you can check those out after this video. So today in this video, I want to give you my overall thoughts on the RS2s, and at the end of the video, I'll be sharing with you whether or not they will be replacing my dual SVS PB16s. Now, one thing I've always heard people say, like in Facebook groups and forums, is that typically for home theater application, you want ported subwoofers, and if you're mostly into music, then sealed subwoofers are a better way to go. And for the most part, over the past several years, I've reviewed a lot of different subwoofers, both sealed as well as ported, and even in the same kind of series of subwoofers, the sealed version and the ported version. In my theater room, I always have preferred that ported version because it has more output, there's just more tactile bass in that. And then the sealed subwoofers, I have enjoyed those very well for music in my setup. That was until the JTR RS2s arrived. Once I hooked up the RS2s, I immediately realized these jokers have some ridiculous output. With 418s, having those 418s is just a massive amount of excursion and a massive overall surface area that is pressurizing this room. Now, my room is 13 feet wide by 19 foot deep with 10-foot ceiling, so it's a decent sized room. I wouldn't consider this a large room, but it's definitely not a small room. And these RS2s pressurize this room ridiculously. Like, I'm hearing things in my room shake and rattle that I have never heard with other subwoofers that I've reviewed, as well as my PB16s that I have typically behind my screen. And as I shared in a previous video, I was playing frequencies in my theater room doing some test tones, and I was hearing my door shake. And then there was one demo I was doing, I can't remember what movie I was playing, but it was actually shaking and vibrating my sliding glass door over here, and I've never heard that shake either. So there's a lot of pressurization in this room, and I still have to kind of go around and play different frequencies to find out what is rattling and figure out ways to kind of tame that rattle. But overall, these things absolutely slam. I mean, there's a lot of power. You've got 4,000 watts of amplification with these, and then there's also an upgrade if you feel that you need more than 4,000 watts for whatever reason. They do have a 6,000 watt option as an upgrade, so if you feel like you need that more extra power, man, there's an option for you as well. Now, another thing I've always heard is, larger subwoofers aren't fast, because they're so big, they just move slower and they're not quick and they're not responsive. That's not the case with the RS2s. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they do have such large amplifiers. When you've got 4,000 watts of power, these things will start and stop on a dime. I mean, we can go from just huge dynamics as far as, really quiet scenes to super explosions, and it handles that phenomenally. There's no issues there whatsoever. Now, granted, I don't listen to a lot of music in my theater room, and so maybe that's what they're referencing, but for movies, oh my goodness, man, these are incredible. Now, just a few nights ago, my son, myself, as well as 2 of his friends were watching Ford versus Ferrari. Now, guys, if you haven't seen this movie, I think it's phenomenal. It's just got a great story. It's got some great sound in it. This room was rocking. Now, when I say that, it wasn't like crazy overbearing bass. That's the good thing. The reality is, some people say, Michael, why in the world would you want to have 418s in your room? I mean, wouldn't two 15s or maybe even two 12s be enough? And the reality is, yes, you can get solid bass, solid tactile bass from dual 15s. I've been able to do that with the PB16s. But by having dual 18s in each cabinet, so now we've got 4 18s, it gives me tons of headroom so I don't have to turn it up as loud. Now let's just use an analogy of two cars. Let's say one person has a Ferrari and the other person has a Honda Accord, okay? Both of those will reach 100 miles an hour. Well, mostly the Honda would, but it's gonna be struggling. I mean, if it can hit 100 miles an hour, that's everything that that engine's got. Now the Ferrari, on the other hand, it hits 100 miles per hour, maybe in second gear, maybe in third gear, but probably in second gear, it could hit 100 miles an hour. And so it's easy for that to just cruise and just, you know, fly at that horsepower and that amount of speed without even flexing. And I think that's the kind of combination here. That's the analogy of the RS2s and what they offer. They offer a ridiculous amount of headroom. They have an incredible amount of power and authority when you need it. But just because you have all that power doesn't mean that you always have to have it cranked up, you know, blowing off your windows and blowing off your doors. You tame those beasts, man. There is a such thing as called balancing out your system. I know with my system, I've always tried to tell people, you only want to notice your subwoofers when you turn them off. And in other words, you want your subwoofers to blend seamlessly with the rest of your setup. You don't want to say, oh, well, I know he's got some subwoofers back there. No, you want to be able to feel it. You want to be able to experience it. But you don't want to be able to localize where the subwoofers are placed in your room. Now in Ford versus Ferrari, there were a couple of scenes that, man, they were just really pretty awesome. Of course, the race scenes, you know, as they're just flying by and they're cranking through and, you know, speeding down the track, that was sounding awesome because the camera would go from outside the car to inside the car, and you really felt like you were inside the car at that point because the engine was like, boom. But there was one scene in particular, I remember when they're flying the plane and the plane comes over the top. Holy cow, that was intense. Fantastic scene. So if you haven't seen that movie, definitely go pick that up. I'll link it down below in the description. Phenomenal movie, just a great story, and it was based on a true story, and so that just makes it all the more worthwhile. Now, one thing I have not heard yet are the JTR speakers. JTR makes not only just subwoofers and just incredible subwoofers, but they also make tower speakers as well. And these can be used in both 2-channel as well as home theater setups. And so next month, I'm incredibly excited about going to Axpona. At Axpona, JTR has posted on their Facebook page that they are going to have a ridiculous setup. At Axpona 2020, they're going to have 3 Noesis 215 RT speakers as their main LCR. Then they're going to have 6 Noesis 110 HT surround speakers and 6 Noesis 110 HT-SL Atmos overhead speakers. And for the low end, dude, they are going to be cranking out 6 of the Captivator 4000 ULF subwoofers. Guys, I absolutely cannot wait to hear this. Last year, I was seeing people comment on that setup and how amazing it sounded. So I'm really looking forward to hearing for the first time an entire JTR home theater. It's going to be awesome. If you guys are able to come out to Axpona, man, I would love for you to join us. I know myself's going to be there, Chana, the Techno Dad, Joe from Joe and Tell, as well as Ron from New Record Day. We'll have the whole Daily Hi-Fi crew there. So if you're able to make it out to the event, be sure to stop by and say hi. You can check out all of Axpona's information at axpona.com. I'd love for you guys to come out and join us. It's going to be an incredible event. Now, not only would JTR have a dedicated room with this killer setup, they're also going to be doing some nightly concerts as well. And in those systems, they're going to have 2 Noesis 212TX as their main speakers and two Captivator 215 Pro subwoofers. So I'll have a chance to hear just a wide variety of their speakers as well as their subwoofers. And so I'll be sure to make some videos on that for you guys to let you know what I think about an entire JTR setup. Now in my room, I use Mini DSP in combination with Odyssey and was able to get it pretty flat all the way down to about 11 hertz, and then they start dropping off a little bit. And so having speakers that play down to 11 hertz is incredible. I mean, we've got solid output down to 11 hertz. That's pretty stinking impressive. Now there is a section in my room that I've got to try to figure out how to kind of tweak that 40 hertz range, and that's just acoustic issues in my room. But I'm excited to be able to kind of tweak that, and I'm learning Mini DSP. That's a whole new world for me, but I'm excited about the potential there and being able to kind of tweak the room for my setup as well as for my ears and my liking. But overall, looking at the frequency response, having solid output down to 11 hertz is impressive. Now, over the past 2 months in reviewing the RS2s, there's really only two negative things that I can see about these speakers. Number one is the size. I mean, these are absolute kind of monsters. I mean, they are going to make a presence in your room. And so I realize, and even Jeff realizes, these aren't going to end up in a lot of, family rooms or living rooms. These are typically going to be put in such systems like mine in a dedicated theater room. If you're able to convince your wife to put these in a living room, dude, more power to you. That's awesome. And so size is a factor. The good thing is because they're vertical, they don't take up a ton of floor space. They're about the size of a normal okay, that's weird when I consider a normal size subwoofer the size of an 18-inch subwoofer. These are pretty beefy subs. I mean, they're a little bit over 18 inches wide. They're pretty massive, okay? And the fact that they weigh 220 pounds. These are big old boys. I mean, when you put these in a room, they make a statement. They are like, I am large and I am in charge. So because of their size, you're probably not going to find these in a lot of living room setups. They're probably going to be in setups like mine, either directly behind an acoustic transparent screen or in a dedicated space, dedicated theater room, maybe a loft. So I believe that that's probably the majority of where these subwoofers end up in those types of setups. Now, the only other thing I can think of that might be considered a negative is the cost. The RS2s retail for $3,500 each, and so that's not going to fit everybody's budget. But if you're looking for a pair of subwoofers or a single subwoofer in that price range, I think that these offer an incredible value for what they provide in performance. So the big question at the end of the day is, Michael, are you going to be replacing your dual SVS PB16's with the brand new JTR Captivator RS2 subwoofers? Well, there's only one way to find out. Alexa, theater lights off. Alexa, speaker lights on. Oh yeah, it's happening. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to see more JTR videos, check out these two right here. And as always, you guys be blessed, and we'll catch you in the next video. At that point, because the engine was like, vroom. The engine was like, vroom. The engine was like, vroom. And the RS2s, man, it was just like, oh, man, I felt it. It was pretty awesome.